Good morning, students. In last class, we have discussed about a structure of the brain, where the brain is differentiated into three regions. The three regions are there are three regions. The brain is divided into three regions. The first one is called as the forebrain, and the second one is called as the midbrain, and the third one is called as the hindbrain. So it is divided into three regions, is called as forebrain, or otherwise it is called as the prosencephalon. It is also called as prosencephalon. It is also called as prosencephalon. It is also called as mesencephalon, and it is the hindbrain is also called as the rhombencephalon. So these are the three regions where it is divided. The brain is divided into three regions: the forebrain, or otherwise is called as prosencephalon; midbrain, otherwise is called as mesencephalon; and hindbrain, it is also called as the rhombencephalon. So here the forebrain is divided into two regions. One is called as the cerebrum, and the second one is called as a diencephalon. Again, the midbrain is divided into two regions, that is called as the cura cerebri, and corpora quadrigemina. So these are the two regions. The midbrain is divided into two regions, that is cura cerebri and corpora quadrigemina, and the hindbrain is divided into three regions. One is called as the cerebellum, and the second one is the pons orale, and the third one is the medulla oblongata. So these are the three regions where it is divided. That is the forebrain is also called as prosencephalon. It is divided into two regions. One is the cerebrum and diencephalon. Again, diencephalon is divided into two regions, that is thalamus and hypothalamus. Next, midbrain, or otherwise called as mesencephalon, where it is divided into two regions. One is the cura cerebri as well as the corpora quadrigemina. And also the hindbrain is also called as rhombencephalon. It is divided into three regions. One is the cerebellum, pons orale, as well as the medulla oblongata. So these are the three regions where it is divided, and already we have studied about the functions of the each part, that is cerebrum, diencephalon, that is thalamus, hypothalamus, cura cerebri, corpora quadrigemina, as well as the cerebellum, pons orale, and medulla oblongata. So the terminal part of the medulla oblongata, it is connected to the spinal cord. That opening, that means the medulla oblongata, which opens into the spinal cord, that opening is called as the foramina of a magnum. Here opening, so here the opening medulla oblongata is opened into that is a spinal cord by an opening. That opening is called as the foramina It is called as the foramina of magnum. It is called as the foramina of magnum. That opening which is presenting, that means it is medulla oblongata is opened into the spinal cord. That opening which is enters into the spinal cord, that opening is called as the foramina of magnum, where it is connected to the vertebral spinal cord. That spinal cord will enters, it is the main nerve trunk present in our body, that is a spinal cord, where that is that means your spinal cord will be transferred, that means will enters into the vertebral column, in your neural system of a vertebral column up to the and second lumbar regions. So what is the structure of the spinal cord now will be discussed. Now coming to the structure of the spinal cord. A structure of spinal cord. So here the spinal cord is also called as medulla spinalis. It is also called as the medulla spinalis. Why it is called as the medulla spinalis? Means the terminal part of the terminal part of the medulla oblongata, terminal part of the medulla oblongata. It is connected to the spinal cord. So the terminal part of the medulla oblongata, which is connected to the spinal cord, so that here it is also called as the medulla spinalis. So here the main part of the, that means the spinal cord, it is main nerve trunk. It is the main part of the nerve trunk, that is main nerve trunk. It is a main nerve trunk in the neural system of the vertebral column. Main nerve trunk of the neural system, a neural canal, or otherwise main nerve trunk of neural canal of the vertebral column, of the vertebral column. And also here it is the length of the that means here the length of the spinal cord is 18 inches. It will be an 18 inches. $18 inches, and it is the length of the length will be the 18. The length is the 18 inches, and the size is it is the size of the size of the little finger, size of the little finger. Size of the little finger it is presenting, where here it is 18 centimeters. That means it starts with the starting of the medulla, that is from the base of the vertebral column. It starts from a base of the vertebral column, base of the vertebral column, and say base of the vertebral column up to the second lumbar region, up to the second lumbar region. It is presenting up to the from the base of the vertebral column. That means where it is enters, that means spinal cord is the brain part where it is presenting. That spinal cord is connected to the vertebral column into the spinal cord. That means it connected to spinal cord. That spinal cord will enters into the base of the vertebral column. From the base it passes up to the a second lumbar region. It is a passes. So such type of that is where it is passing from base of the vertebral column to the second lumbar region. And also here this is where they are presenting the, it is a main, that means the spinal cord, it is a main organ along with the brain. It is also a very important organ. Why means here are the nerves which are arises. That is here the nerves which are arise from the spinal cord that are passes to different regions of the body, where that are divided into cervical, thorax, as well as the, that is it is divided into cervical, thorax, sacral, coaxial, as well as lumbar regions. These are spreaded into different regions. How they are spreaded, that will be discussed in the later. We will discuss detailedly. So here we will be passing from the base of the vertebral column to the second lumbar region. This is process along how this brain is covered by three coverings. The brain, how the brain is covered by three coverings such as the meninges, the cerebrospinal fluid, as well as the gray and white matter. Here how the brain is covered by three membranes. The three membranes, that is the three coverings are membranes. Coverings are membranes such as the meninges. Second one is the cerebrospinal fluid, and the third one is the gray and the white matter. So these are the three coverings where it is covered by brain as well as the spinal cord. So here the spinal cord also will be covered. How the brain is covered by the three meninges. Likewise, the spinal cord is also covered by the three meninges, that is three coverings such as the outer coverings are called as the meninges, and second one is called as the cerebrospinal fluid, and the third one is called as the gray as well as the white matter. So here that is the spinal cord which is present in the having three coverings. How these are covered, how the brain is covered, these are also will covered by the spinal cord. Now will be discussed the structure of the spinal cord. Now coming to the structure of the spinal cord. So here the brain, how the brain is covered by three coverings. Here a spinal cord also, the spinal cord also covering of three membranes or three structures. That means spinal cord will covered by coverings of meninges, covering of meninges, cerebrospinal fluid, and also a gray as well as the gray and the white matter. So here in a brain, the gray and white matter is presenting here gray matter is presenting outer surface area, and the white matter is presenting inner surface area. But in a spinal cord, if you see in the spinal cord, here outer surface area is covered by the white matter, and inner surface area it is covered by the gray matter in the spinal cord. So here outer surface is covered by in spinal cord. In a spinal cord, the gray matter, white matter will be outside. White matter is outside, outer side, where made up of, where it consists of myelinated, and axons. It consists of a myelinated and axons are presenting, and also here the gray matter, here inner surface area, inner area is presenting the gray matter, inner is presenting the gray matter, where this gray matter will consist of the dendrites. It consists of the dendrites and the cyton with a nucleus of a gray color, So here the nucleus is appearing of a gray color. So here it is called as the gray matter, where here in brain it is presenting outer surface is occupied by the gray matter and inner surface is occupied by the white matter. But in spinal cord, the outer surface is covered by the white matter and inner surface is covered by the gray matter, where these are opposite to one another. So here easily with the help of gray and white matter we can differentiate the brain as well as the spinal cord. Why means here the gray matter in a brain, the gray matter will present outer surface area and the white matter is presenting inner surface area. But in spinal cord, the outer surface is occupied by the white matter and inner surface is occupied by the gray matter. And also here coming to the transverse section of the spinal cord, here a transverse section of the spinal cord. So when transverse section of the spinal cord, if you see here the spinal cord is divided, is incompletely divided, the spinal cord with the help of a posterior medial sulcus. Here it is divided, the spinal cord is incompletely divided with the help of the fissures as well as the sulcus. We know already we studied what are the sulcus and fissures. Sulcus means the grooves which are present in the brain. That means the grooves which separates the gyres or foldings which are presenting are called as gyres. That gyres are separated by a grooves. That grooves are called as a sulcus. So and the deep sulcus are called as a fissures. A deep sulcus are called as the fissures. So that the spinal cord is divided incompletely. The spinal cord is incompletely divided. It is incompletely divided by with the help of an anterior medial fissure. With the help of an anterior median fissure and the posterior medial sulcus. So the spinal cord is incompletely divided with the help of an anterior median fissure and also the posterior medial sulcus. And also here it consists of the two horns. That means here the shape, coming to the shape of the spinal cord and transverse section, it is in the form of a butterfly shape. It is in the form of a butterfly shape, or otherwise it is in the form of an H-shaped structure. H-shaped structure. It is in the form of a butterfly, or otherwise it is in the form of a H-shaped structure it is presenting, where here this H-shaped or butterfly shaped structure will consist of the two horns are presenting. The two horns are, one is called as the posterior horns are called as the posterior horns. The posterior two horns which are presenting, they are called as the dorsal horns. The posterior two horns which are presenting, they are called as the dorsal horns. And the anterior two horns which are presenting, they are called as the ventral horns. So here the spinal cord, when it is a transverse section, here it is a butterfly shaped or a H shaped structure it is presenting, where here it consists of the four horns are presenting. That four horns are which are the posterior, that means anterior two horns which are presenting. The anterior two horns, the anterior two horns which are presenting, they are called as the ventral horns. And the posterior two horns which are presenting, they are called as the dorsal horns. And also here in the center of the spinal cord, here it consists of a central canal is presenting. The center of the spinal cord will consist of a central canal is presenting. This is called as a central canal, where this central canal, that means the central canal is filled with a fluid that is called as the cerebrospinal fluid. It is filled with a fluid. That fluid is called as the cerebrospinal fluid. It is filled with a fluid, that means the central canal is filled with a fluid. That fluid is called as the cerebrospinal fluid, where it protects the internal, the part of the spinal cord. Already we know that it is a fluid which is present in both brain as well as the spinal cord, where here it performs the various functions. One is it helpful for the exchanging of gases, it provides food materials, and also here it eliminates the waste materials like carbon dioxide, etc. So here these are mainly helpful for exchanging of materials. So that is called as, that means the central canal is filled with a fluid. That fluid is called as the cerebrospinal fluid, where it is a protective in nature. So here this is where we can call them as this is a structure where we can call as the spinal cord, where the spinal cord is incompletely divided. It is not dividing, it is completely not dividing, it is incompletely dividing into, with the help of an anterior medial fissure and a posterior median sulcus. So that here this is about a structure of the spinal cord. And coming to the functions of the spinal cord. Here the spinal cord will helpful for the two functions. It performing two functions it performs. So what are that means now will be discussed. So coming to the functions of the spinal cord, it serves as a pathway of a nerve impulse. It serves as the pathway. It serves as the pathway for conducting of nerve impulse, for a conducting of a nerve impulse to and from the brain. That means the information which is passing from the, that means the nerve impulse which are passes from body parts to the brain, from brain to the body parts, that are passes through the spinal cord only, that information is passing. So here to and fro information we can call as a to and from the information that are passes. That means when nerve impulse is taken place, that means it conducts when nerve impulse is conducted. Here the to and fro information, that means from body parts to the brain, from brain to the body parts, that information should be passes that information should be passes through the spinal cord only that information is passed. So here the spinal cord will act as a to and fro movements. That means to and fro, that is nerve impulse is taken place through the spinal cord, and second function is all reflex reactions are taken place in a spinal cord. The second one is all the reflex actions, reflex reactions, that is reflex actions are all reflex actions are taken place in a spinal cord. That means all reflex reactions. So what are the reflex reactions? Means these are a sudden involuntary, that means these are a sudden inborn involuntary reactions which are taken place in a body of an organism. For example, here if you seen here, what are reflex actions? Means here example, if you seen, when you touching of a hot object. Here when touching of hot object, here withdrawal of the hand, sudden withdrawing of a hand, that sudden withdrawing of hand when you touch the hot object, that will be called as a reflex reactions. For example, if you seen a new, that is 2 years or 1 year baby, if he touch the hot object, or 2, 3 or 4 to 5 months baby, if he touch hot object or any object, he suddenly withdraw his hand from the hot object. Why? Means these are an involuntary, these are inborn involuntary reactions. So that what are these reflex reactions? Means these are the inborn involuntary reactions which are taken place in our body. So such type of reactions are called as the reflex reactions. So that all reflex reactions are under the control of the spinal cord only. So here these are the two functions which is performed by the spinal cord. One is it passes the impulse, that means nerve impulse will be taken place to and fro information from the brain to the spinal, through the spinal cord only that information is passes to the brain, from brain to the body parts only. So the to and fro information, or to and from information, that is a nerve impulse are taken place through the spinal cord only, that are passes to the brain, and from brain to the body parts through the spinal cord that are passes. And second one is all reflex reactions. All reflex reactions are under the control of the spinal cord only. An example, that is when you touch the hot object, here sudden withdrawing of the hand. That means here nobody will say, that is mother or father or any friends or any other colleagues, here they cannot say you have touched the hot subject, withdraw your hand, they cannot say. That means, why? Means these are inborn. Inborn means from the birth itself only these type of reactions are producing. So such reactions, for example, if any dust particles are falling into the eye, suddenly we will close our eyes. So here we are not showing to close our eyes, suddenly they close automatically, the eyes will be closed when falling any dust particles into the eyes. Likewise, here we can take place from the childhood, will learn they are called these, that means from these activities. For example, from the childhood we will learn, when the teacher enters into the classroom, suddenly we will raise up. So these are the reflex reactions which are taken place in our body. So that all the reflex reactions which are taken place that are under the control of the spinal cord. So these are the two main functions which is performed by the spinal cord. Now coming to the next one, if we coming to the reflex reactions. So what are these reflex reactions? So that will be discussed now. So next coming to the reflex reaction. So what are reflex reaction means? It was first introduced by Marshall Hall in 1833. So here it was introduced by the reflex reactions was first introduced by the Marshall Halls in the year 1833. So what are reflex actions means? These are inborn involuntary response to the stimulus, inborn involuntary response to stimuli. So such type of reactions are called as reflex actions. So these are inborn means from the birth itself only these reactions are produced. From where they are produced means from the birth. That means when the child is given birth, the mother will give birth, from the birth itself only these type of reactions are producing. So such type of reactions are called as the reflex and actions. So these are inborn involuntary means these are not under the control of the brain or a spinal cord. So here this inborn, that means from the birth itself they are producing and they are not under the control of the brain. So their response, they shows a response to the stimulus. They shows the response to the stimulus. This will be taken a place. And here these reflex reactions are taken place in an showing an arc. So that are called as a reflex arc. Reflex arc. So what are reflex arc means? These are the structural and functional units of the reflex actions. These are the structural and functional units of reflex actions are called as reflex arc, where these reflex arcs can be defined as it is a pathway where it shows the communication of a nerve impulse. It shows the pathway of the communication of a nerve impulse which is taken place. It is a pathway. It is a pathway through which nerve communication passes. Then it is called as an reflex arc. That means it showing the pathway of a reflex, that is the nerve impulse. That means nerve communication, how nerve impulse, that means a response to stimulus. That means if anyhow, that means when you touch the hot object, here the response, where here it shows the receptor cells. From receptor cells it passes to the sensory nerves. From sensory nerves it passes the motor nerves. From motor to the intermediate nerves or associated nerves. From associated that are passes to the an effector organs. So here it showing a pathway. That means it shows from the dorsal horn. So that here information is taken place from a dorsal horn to the ventral horn. That information are from ventral horns to the dorsal horn. The information is passing. So such information where it takes place, that is called as a reflex an arc. That means from anterior to the posterior. That means from the dorsal horns, that is passing from dorsal horns to the ventral horns that are passing, where it shows from receptor cells. from a receptor. So here it consists of 5 components. That means in a reflex arc, here it consists of 5 components are presenting. That 5 components are, the first one is the receptor cells, the second one is the sensory nerves, and the third one is mixed nerves, and the fourth one is the motor nerves, and last one is an effector organs. So these are the 5 types of the 5 components which shows the reflex arc in the form of an arc, it showing the information. So such type of reactions where there are the structural and the functional units of the reflex reaction, where it shows the pathway for the passing of a nerve communication passes. So such process is called as a reflex and arc, where these reflex arc are the structural and a functional unit of reflex actions. Now coming to the 5 components which are presenting in the that is the 5 components which shows and reflex and arc, that will be discussed. So coming to the reflex components present in a reflex arc. So here the receptor cells, where they takes place, these are the sense organs are sensory receptors which change or receives the stimulus, which change or receives the stimulus. So such type are called as the receptor cells. And sensory nerves, the nerves means sensory nerves means these are the nerves which carries information from a body parts to the brain. Information carries information, carries an information from body parts to a brain. So they are called as sensory nerves. And associated means the nerves which mixed or joined the sensory as well as the motor nerves, joining of sensory and the motor nerves, and the motor nerves which carries information from a brain to a body parts, So effector organs, these are the organs which responds, where it carries out a specific response or to the, these are the muscles or the glands which carries a specific response. So such type are called as the receptor, that are effector and organs. So here the skin, here this skin will receive the receptors, where here it shows receives the stimulus. That stimulus will passes to the sensory nerves through the dorsal horns, and here they mixed these are motor nerves, these are sensory nerves and motor nerves, these are joined by the associated nerves, where that are carried to the response will be taken place to the muscles or an effector organ, where the information is passing from a dorsal horns through the dorsal horns and enters into the ventral horns and receives towards response is received to the muscle cells or receptors and organs, where here it consists of the skins, the skin or can call as sense organs or receptor cells, where they receive the stimuli. When stimulus are taken place that are carried by sensory nerves, that means from body parts to the brain, that information is passing, and from in between and motor nerves, here motor nerves are presenting, where the information is carried from brain to the body parts, and here both are mixed here. Here mixed means with the help of associated nerves. Associated means these are called as mixed nerves, where they mix the sensory and motor nerves are mixed to join that nerves, so that here the information is passing from a dorsal horns to the ventral horns and enters to the effector organs. These are the glands or muscles which shows a response will be taken place. So these are the carries out a specific response which are taken place. So such type of organs are called as an effector organs are the muscles, or these are the glands, where here it shows a definite pathway, that is from skin. This is the pathway where it shows from dorsal horns that passes to the ventral horns to the muscle cells through to sensory associated as well as a mixed, that is sensory associated and a motor nerves. So these are the three nerves where they carried. Sensory nerves means that means the sensory nerves, the nerves which carries information from body parts to the brain, they are called as the sensory nerves. And motor nerves means the nerves which carries information from brain to the body parts. So here associated means they are combined together. That means here a joining of sensory as well as motor nerves, we can call them as an associated nerves. So these are the 5 components where it shows in the a response, that is in the form of a reflex reactions, so that are passing through the spinal cord only. Already I said here all reflex reactions are taken place in the spinal cord, and also to and fro information from brain to the body parts, from body parts to the brain through the spinal cord only. This information is carried from sensory, mixed or associated or the motor and nerves. So this is a very important question. What is reflex reaction? Explain with the help of the diagrammatic representation. Explain with showing the reflex and arc. So here reflex reaction means these are inborn involuntary reactions where it shows response to the stimuli, and it shows reflex arc. These are reflex arc are the structural as well as the functional unit of reflex reactions, where it shows the pathway of a nerve communication passes. So that showing the nerve, that means nerves are passing through the dorsal horns to the ventral horns, through the brain to the spinal cord, from brain to the body parts, from body parts to the brain. So this is called as a reflex arc, where here it consists of 5 components are presenting. One is called as receptors, where they are the shows a response to the, it shows the stimuli, that means changing or receiving the stimuli. That means the receptor cells are the sense organs which receives the stimuli are called as receptor organs, and the organs which carries a specific response, showing a response is showing a specific out of response, they are called as an effector organs or muscle cells. And here 3 nerves are presenting: sense organs, sensory nerves, the nerves which carries information to body parts to the brain, and the motor nerves from brain to the body parts. In between these motor and sensory nerves, they are consist of the associated nerves. They are combined together in the spinal cord, they are combined together, where information is passing from body parts to the brain, from brain to the body parts through the spinal cord only. So this is where of the structure of the spinal cord, and also will having the reflex arc. It is very important. What is reflex arc? Explain the 5 components present in it with the help of showing a pathway of reflex reactions, and also in the NEAT also. Here given the diagrammatic, identify the components which are present in the reflex and arc also will be shown. So in next class that will be discussed, that is we'll discuss the generation of a nerve impulse, that will be discussed in the next class. Thank you.